Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and this one's going to be quite different because we're off on a road trip and we're going in this Morgan Plus 4. Now, I haven't ever featured a Morgan on Harry's Garage before. Last one I drove was actually the Morgan three-wheeler on Evo Car of the Year, way back, I'm guessing 2011-12, something like that. And I've sort of dismissed Plus 4 and Plus 6, I think it is now, Plus 8. As I knew what they were a bit antiquated and weren't really my cup of tea. And then I noticed Evo included this very car in their car of the year, their latest car of the year. And it did pretty well. And I thought, hang on a minute, I know how carefully Evo choose their cars to get through to car of the year. You have to be a pretty damn good car to even make it to the final, if you like. So I was intrigued by that. And then I saw Simon de Burton do a road trip in one in Octane magazine going on, it's really rather good. And so those two things triggered me to phone up Morgan and say, can I have a go in this Morgan? And I won't give too much away at this point, but I've done 25 miles on it. And it's a real surprise. Forget everything you remember of the antiquated Morgan Plus 4, Plus 8. Utterly new now. This is alloy chassis. Nitron done the suspension on this. It's got sports pack on this particular one. And it flies. It's got BMW four-cylinder engine, 255 horsepower, I think they are. 149 miles an hour. And 5.2 to 60, I think they claim. This is manual 6-speed, they do an auto version as well. And from driving it, it is really quite fun. But we'll go into lots of details when we go out on the trip. One other thing, having tested far too many hybrid and overweight cars recently, I have weighed this car, 2.5 ton BMW M5s. I've just done a near 2 ton Lamborghini Revuelto. This car, as you see it, fully fueled up, 1,060 kilos on my weighbridge. Just another aid. So that's the base. Let's have a close look at the car and I'll tell you where we're going. Now this particular model, it was completely redone with the alloy chassis in 2020, but this is a 24 car and they've improved it again, which is immediately recognisable by these headlights. It's really unique to Morgan. This has the sports pack on it, which includes the spotlights there and a slightly different treatment down here. I do like the way it's debumpered. It's so clutter-free when you think of what we get with today's cars. These are the standard wheels. I really like them actually, so no extra for those. Yeah, the price of this car is also interesting when you think it's very bespoke. You have it made to your spec, what colour you want. This colour, yeah, fly yellow special paint is £1,320. But the base price of this car, $69,995, so call it £70,000. I was looking at that Ferrari 12-cylinder I had in recently. Some of the paint options there were £30,000, £40,000. You could almost buy the whole car for the paint option on a Ferrari. So I like that about it as well. And if you want to look at the engine, well, you just unclip that one, down with that one, and there you are. 4-cylinder turbocharged BMW unit in there, very healthy, loads of torque, spins up, all good. You can see the turbo here and wastegate there. And the other thing you can see here is also the aluminium. This is the aluminium chassis here, so none of the sort of steel old ladder chassis that they used to have. Much more modern, much stiffer than what went before. But there's one thing I'm not quite so sure about, and that's boot space. First of all, we have, typical Morgan fashion, you take the little pop studs off here and one the other side. Once you release those, I can pop this, there we go, and that lifts up the rear like that. That is the boot on a Plus 4. It's a bit tight. It's all very nicely trimmed in there. I'll get the map out and I'll show you where we're going. Now, the reason for this trip is I went to the Lake District in that Mercedes McLaren SLR, and I had to abandon doing the Hard Knot Pass because the car was just too wide, too low, and it was just unsuitable car. And another thing we didn't do was to see Bluebird K7. It had been extracted from the depths of Coniston Water in 2001. There was a legal case going on. It was being restored and it was going to be in the museum. and that arrived in 2024, March 2024. So I am going back to the Lake District, and I had planned to do this trip in my little Lotus Elan Sprint. I thought that's an ideal car, super narrow, super nimble. I ought to do a road trip in it. And then this came along, so yeah, we're taking this instead. So yeah, what we're going to do today, we have a basically 5-hour journey up the motorway, and we're going to be staying in Coniston Inn, right at the top of Coniston Water, up in the Lake District. Hard Knot Pass is up here. We want to go to Wast Water as well. It's really beautiful, up by Scafell Pike, highest point in England. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. And I want to see Bluebird K7, which is in Coniston, in the Ruskin Museum in Coniston. So that's the aim. It's 240, 250 miles up to the Lake District. We're going to take this down and pack this car up. And I'm a little worried about the packing, having looked at the space in the back of there, because it's Lake District and it rains and you want coats and boots and things like that. So whether it's all going to fit in, well, there's only one way to find out. Take it down to the house now. So that's what we're going to do, pack up, and then you'll probably join us somewhere in the Lake District tomorrow morning. Well, morning. We are in the Coniston Inn in Coniston. There is Coniston Water just there. And yeah, there's Herdwick sheep here as well. And we've had a bit of fun and games this morning because they got out and they're all over here. Anyway, he had 2 sheep dogs with him and we got them back in there. So yeah, eventful morning. But yesterday, yeah, the run up here, it's just a motorway slogs, 4.5, 5 hours here, 240, 50 miles. And we did manage to get all our bags in. There was I worrying about the amount of space at the back of this car. It was all right. We had 2 squishy bags, camera bags, coats and things. It all went in. So I was a bit surprised by that. There's a little bit of space behind the seats when you actually look inside. So, okay, you know, cosy, but okay. And then, yeah, just floats up the motorway. Another surprise of this car is so long geared, 6-speed gearbox. You almost have to be going over 60 before you can select 6. It's so low revving. And it cruised up here at about 1600 revs or something, 1500 revs in 6. And that helped economy, as I'll mention in a moment. So easy run, noisy. I did a noise test. I can't remember if it was 85 or 86 decibels with the hood up, but yeah, it's noisy in there. Now, another surprise with it, it has this Bluetooth connectivity on this one. So I could just connect my phone up. We'd got ways to bring us up here. But the radio could cope with that amount of noise, and it has these really clever speakers in it. They're just individual speakers you see in the doors, but the main bass and oomph from the speaker system works on the body panels under the seats and on the tonneau with activators on them. It's all for lightweight. It's all a bit of a mystery, but it worked, and yeah, it was good. The only thing is, it's got all this connectivity and things in podcasts and ways and everything. But when the phone rang, it has no hands-free phone mechanism. That bit, it hasn't got a microphone, doesn't come through the speakers. Just a minor point. What else did we learn? We arrived up here, and I just had basically the fuel gauge did not move until we got close to up here, and then I noticed it fell quite quickly. I thought, oh, I better go and fill up. And we found a fuel stop, and it hardly took any fuel. And I thought, well, it's showing over 3/4 empty, so therefore it's a 46 litre tank. Surely it'd take more. No, at 27 litres, it then overflowed the tank. And we worked it out. It did 43 mpg getting up here, which is 25 miles of mucking about at home, and then the route up here. 43 mpg is crazy. But we were met with beautiful sunshine, wall-to-wall blue. As soon as we got off the motorway and got into lakes, it's just terrific. The roof came down and the switchbacks, glorious scenery, sun going down. It was just what you want with a Morgan Plus 4. So it was a really nice drive into here. I chose this place. There's several places to choose around here. It's obviously a very touristy place, but this is end of February, so we had a choice of places to stay. But it has a big car park here. It's pretty social inside, reasonable food, good value, and it's a good location. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do today. Now I'm swapping to a tourist map just to make life a bit easier, so you can sort of see where we are. So we're at the Coniston Inn is right at the top of Coniston water. So that's the lake here, and this is obviously where Donald Campbell did his speed record. Hopefully then it all went horribly wrong, and that is for tomorrow. We've actually been up to the Ruskin Museum, which is just in town of Coniston here. There's going to be a slight hiccup for tomorrow, which I'll explain tomorrow, but there's a dedicated hall to Bluebird K7 and there's all sorts of things, but that anyway is for tomorrow. But today what I want to do is just go up the road, and here is the Hard Knot Pass, and that is where we had to turn around. It was actually at that point there, Cockley Beck, where we turn around in the SLR, because this was tortuous in such a big monster of a car as the McLaren SLR. The Morgan, I'm sure, is much better. And we'll go up here, and this is that particular bit there is the steepest road in England, apparently. It's a debate whether it's this one or there's one in Yorkshire, but I'll go for this one today. And then we're going to trundle down here, and I want to get up to Wasp Water here. It's very beautiful up here, and that should give us a view of Scarfell Pike, which is the highest point in England. I just want the cloud cover just to slightly naff off. It was forecast to have a bit of sun today, more this afternoon than this morning, but I can just see low cloud rolling over the fells up there. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to join us in here, and I'll take you around the interior and a bit more we've learnt about this Morgan on the way. Yeah, well, we've just left the Coniston Inn, and rather annoyingly, we've got spots in the window and it's starting to rain. We were debating whether to put the roof down or not. Yes, we just thought we'd warm the car up first, because it's got a very good heater in this car, and it's even got really good heated seats as well. You have to be quite clever to find them, though. It's right down here, the switch for the heated seats, where I'm pointing down here. There's also a radio volume control here as well. It does remind me of my Porsche 930, that era of Porsche 911, where you really had to know what did what on the dash. These hidden little switches for swapping mirror or the interval wipe and all that sort of thing on a 911 is very peculiar in the 80s, and it's live and well here in Morgan Land in 2025 as well. But yeah, just some other things just on we experienced on the way up. The ride quality, I was expecting better. It is quite lumpy, and I was hoping once we got on the motorways it might smooth out. No, if you've got the sports pack, it's still, you notice any imperfections in the road, even at speed on a motorway. It will find bumps everywhere, this car, which is probably part of the Nitron pack as well. You do tick the sports pack. And the other thing about it, you are sitting right on the rear axle, and that is a recipe for having that sort of jiggly ride, should we say. And I don't think it's got a lot of suspension travel. It's lowered in with the sports pack. And there was a nothing speed bump, one of those plastic speed bump, hit one of those, and it really banged at the back, and it hit the deck. And I was very surprised that it was doing that. So there is very little clearance at the back, very low. Other things just around the cabin, where my main information is all on the dash here. So I've got a digital speedo here, and that red blob is actually a rev counter, but no actual indicator of what speed it is. And everything is on there. And I've even got this gear indicator. If I change into second, you'll see there it will change the number. Digital readout, even though it's a manual gearbox. I've got engine temperature here, fuel gauge there, and then rev counter there as well. And then clock, which we can't work out how to adjust. A few things here, start button, heated screen, which is really good, heater controls here, heat and fan that side, air conditioning by that. And then there is a speedo that you don't go anywhere near, because you've got the digital speedo, and I've used it as a sucker mount to put the phone on. So that's where you have your navigation, or if you're doing your music or whatever, you control it all on there. And there's a charge point in the glove box, which hides under there as well. Then down here you've got air outlets here, obviously manual gearbox, and then here is sports button. So if I press and hold, the dash will go red, and I will just get a few more pops and bangs if I just accelerate away. Yeah, just from the exhaust. I'm not a fan, so I'm going to turn that off. And then you've got traction control that side, 2-stage, part, and then full off on there. So yeah, that's it. We're making our way, as I say, up to, oh, look at this road. I think they're just repairing it at the moment. Yeah, we're making our way up to Hard Knot Pass, and let's just hope the weather improves a little bit, because I really want to have a bit of this promised sunshine. So we're going up here we are, unsuitable for caravans, unsuitable for all sorts of things, stream caution 30%. Here we go. Let's hope we have better luck this time. It's been very wet here over the last few days. We had about 60-70 mil of rain a day or so ago, so there was a lot of flood water coming off the hills. I'm afraid the roof is not down at the moment. It's not quite there at the moment. Hopefully it will cheer up later on. I can't get over how long the bonnet is as well. I'm having to peer over it. It's like when you're in a sort of off-road and you have those sort of chasms, you don't know where the car is going to go into. It's a bit like that in this Morgan, because you sit low, this enormous bonnet. We abandoned the McLaren SLR. I don't like that road closed sign. Is that road closed sign, or is that just lying down or resting? I hope it's not closed. This is narrow. These potholes I don't like. How deep is that? I've got to go through it. No, it's not too bad. Yeah, definitely not McLaren area, SLR area. Would not have liked this. I can't get over. I'm in second gear. If you look at the revs, I'm at 1200 revs, if that, and it can pick up and accelerate away quite quickly, and it's steep here. It is remarkable how much torque there is from 1000 RPM with this engine. It does help weighing 1060 kilos, I suppose, but really noticeable. Right, this is the Hard Knot Pass, and I think we go up this valley here is where the steep bit is, as I change into third. 1 in 4, so 25% is 1 in 4. Oh, look at that, the road go all the way down to the bottom. Wow. I'm still in second. I get round in second. Oh, I'm just first grounding out. The trouble is I can't have a run at it because I can't see over this long bonnet. That's the main trouble. It's just the first stage of traction control out. Wow. Yeah, that's steep. I'll give you that. That is steep. It's like an off-road course. Oh. Just touching on the back again. As I say, this car is low. Wow. Here we are. Wow, that was worth it. Look at that. That is the RSC out there. You can see all the way out. I'm told on a clear day you can see the Isle of Man, but that isn't going to be possible today. Look at that. How steep that is. Look how steep this corner is. Cars turning around down there. I think they abandoned getting up here. It is quite extreme, I'll give it that. I think if you've got front wheel drive, something like that, you're not going to get round some of these. that second stage of Hard Knot Pass, that deserved its reputation as being a really tough road. We are now, if you swing round, this is West Water, so this is a completely different area. You'll notice that the roof has come off as well. It's certainly brightened up as we went over the top, and this is stunning down here. And up in those clouds is Scafell Pike, so the tallest peak in England, but you're not going to see it today by the look of things, unfortunately. But I just love how you go right down by the lake. Guys on paddle canoes. There's youth hostels all around here, so I'd imagine they're heading back to the youth hostel we've just passed. Big storm has just gone through here or something, because quite a lot of the trees are down as well. But pretty epic scenery. You still can't see over the top of the bonnet. That is good. Yeah, I have to say, if you're thinking of coming to the Lake District, coming in late February is pretty good because it is empty. Just on our way back to the Coniston Inn, it's 5:30. Yeah, it's been quite a day, I have to say. I'm going to show you where we've been. I have to say that West Water and Scafell Pike and that inn we dropped by, it was up here. Westdale Head is where we went, as that inn there, Westdale Head Inn. Really good place to stop. You're looking at Scafell Pike, you had all that stone walls, and then it's just beautiful. The sun was setting, and we set off, and we actually went to the seaside. We went to Seascale, which seemed a really nice place to us. Did a little bit on the beach there. Perfect weather, having had all the rain this morning. And we saw that Sellafield was up the road, and so we thought, go and see what Sellafield is all about. It is a very secure establishment, as you won't be surprised. No signpost anywhere. You come down and think, uh-oh, it's like going into a military base. So we quickly turned around and thought, do you know what, we're going to do the Hard Knot Pass again. And that's what we've just done. And there's lighting, and it was Lake District as you want to see it. Just the sun setting, all the hills lit up in the sun, the setting sun, so sort of orange colour. And we came up. And it is challenging. I would like to say this is just about the perfect car for it. It is, because it's got so much grunt low down. From 1,000 RPM, you've got all this torque. I just knock back the traction control, so you're in the handling, does a little bit of wheel spin, and let it do its thing. So the only thing is these exhausts at the back are flipping low. It's very low. And if I was having this car, I'd quite like the Sportsback because I like Nitron dampers and things, but I think I might jack it up 10 or 20 mil from the setting they have on it. But yeah, you've got this really hard bit we've just done, and then you end up in this sort of hidden valley if you do the Hard Knot Pass, and then you've got another squirt to get out of the valley, just over that crest you can sort of see in the distance. But everywhere is narrow, and the tarmac is a bit broken. You need ground clearance, you need traction. With a couple of refusals we saw on the way down this morning, and it was front wheel drive, slightly heavier car. They had no chance of getting up. So yeah, choose your weapon carefully. But yeah, we're going to head back. As I say, I want to get back before, I don't want to be up here in the dark. So yeah, we've got another sort of half an hour of light. And tomorrow, it's off to see Donald Campbell and see that museum, the Ruskin Museum in Coniston. Well, morning. We're at the Ruskin Museum in Coniston, and I wanted to come here because this is where Donald Campbell's Bluebird K7 actually resides. This is where it is. There's a dedicated wing in this museum to it. And my timing is not good. I just contacted them on the way up here, just saying I was coming up, or is it be possible to do a video and a tour around the museum? And they said, yes, fine, but if you're expecting to see K7, unfortunately, it left this morning because it's having an engine fitted in it, somewhere in Wales, I'm not exactly sure. So I missed it by a few hours. It will be back here though on the 23rd of March, because that's Donald Campbell's birthday, and there is always a service and a celebration of his life here in Coniston on that day. So it will be back here if you're visiting after the 23rd of March, which is good news. And there's a lovely little exhibition in there dedicated to Donald Campbell. They actually built a wing, and it's been such a story getting this car, this boat restored and actually back here. And they're actually looking to get it running on Coniston Lake in 2026. That is what they're trying to do. They're going to try and get it up on the plane. And I was just talking to one of the directors of the museum, Tracy Hodgson, and the battle they're having to do to get it onto Coniston Water, because there is a speed limit on Coniston Water of 10 miles an hour. K7 will be going dramatically faster than 10 miles an hour. So there's a whole host of regulations they have to get round. And to be able to do this high-speed run on Coniston, they are after sponsorship, because it costs quite a lot of money to run K7 today and get it all together and get everything in place so they can show it running on Coniston again on the plane. And I'm going to put a link in the video description to this museum, and if you contact the people, there's a contact email within that will get directly to the people. If you want to support getting Bluebird K7 running on Coniston Water in 2026, that's how to do it. And they're running the engine for the first time, I think, in the next few weeks. It's basically a brand new engine going in the boat, absolutely identical to the engine that was in it when Donald Campbell had the tragic run on Coniston Lake. It was 4th of January 1967. Something I didn't realise was just how fast he was going when he flicked up that. I remember as a kid seeing it on the TV. It's one of my earliest memories. 328 miles an hour, they think he was going at that point. He was trying to break the record to be the first man to do 300 miles an hour on water. He was at 328 miles an hour. The boat had already set 7 world records of water speeds, but that run, 297 one way, 328, he would have got the record and would have been over 300 miles an hour in a boat that was originally designed to do no more than 250 miles an hour. It's a tragic story, but one that puts Coniston, it's somewhere I wanted to visit. I love the backstory, love this record-breaking family with his father, Malcolm Campbell, as well. Donald Campbell's grave is actually in a small graveyard down here. We went to visit that as well, just to celebrate. And inside, I just got this map. It's a bit rainy today, being where we are. But this, if you want to do the tour, see more about Coniston Village map and the bits that Campbell's touched and this record attempt, this is a very good little map to have, which is available in there. Another thing, if you are in this area, one of my favourite places to go is the Bluebird Cafe right on Coniston Water. Again, I can't show it on this trip. It's been refurbed at the moment and is going to open in April. So if you do come here in April, you'll be able to go there first. Right, I'm getting a bit damp now. So what I'm going to do, we're going to head back in this car. And once I'm back home, I'm going to do a conclusion on the car, what I've discovered over these last few days living with it. Well, morning. We're back home after a few days in the Lake District in this Morgan Plus 4, and yeah, it was a fantastic trip, I have to say. And it's been great living with this Morgan. It's full of surprises, and mainly in a positive way. I've done over 700 miles now in it, so yeah, really got to know it. And it's probably time to go through some likes and dislikes with this car. And as ever, I'll start with the dislikes. Well, being a Morgan, there are some things that never change, even though this is updated and got all the latest chassis, the latest tech on it. And those Morgan characteristics include sort of getting in and out of it. You have to bend yourself and get in. It actually helps being a bit taller, so the seat is further back and your legs can curl round the post, the A post. That's the difficulty. But at least the doors do swing out at 90 degrees, but it's just one of those things you live with a Morgan. And then also the roof. It's it works okay, but it's still got a couple of press studs either side, and that's 2 press studs too many. And also, it really takes 2 of you to take the roof down. It's much easier with 2 of you. But on the positive side, it did not leak once, and we saw a lot of rain during our time with this car. Then, just if it's tight on accommodation and storage. We went away for a couple of days. If 2 of you were trying to go for a week, no, you wouldn't do it with the amount of storage behind the seats. You'd end up being quite smelly, I think, by the end of a week. Then, yeah, the ride never quite settles down. I don't mind, it feels very sporty and very dynamic when I'm on one of my favourite bit of road here, but it got a bit annoying on the motorway. It just never settles. And also on motorways, it's noisy in here. I mean, yeah, we had roof up. I've got roof up at the moment, obviously. And yeah, I measured it 85 decibels. So yeah, it's a level where conversation is a bit tricky. And there are drafts and things coming around my shoulder here and up here. It's just general wind noise is what you experience on the motorway. But we come to the lights. There's lots of lights. I think I'll start with just the lightness, the feel of zest and dynamism when you get in it. 1,060 kilos wet. Astonishing in 2025. It's 50 kilos lighter than an A110 Alpine, which is sort of the champion of lightness. It's got the same amount of torque and things. And that lightness just shows all the time. I'm going to slow down. I'm in 3rd and I'm at 1,000 RPM in 3rd, 22 miles an hour. Foot down, that torque builds, wallop, and we're off, and we're at 60. Just that woof, that low down torque from this engine is the big standout for me on this trip. Up on those incredible roads, doing a hard knock pass, and I'm in 2nd, I can let the revs go down a sec to 1,200 revs and power out, even on 1 in 4 steep slopes. Just the grunt is amazing. It's like having a diesel or a giant V8 up the front or something. That low down torque characterises this car, and especially in manual form. So that was a big highlight. Then just the feel of zest. It just gets a move on all the time. When it first arrived, I couldn't believe that 149 miles an hour top speed. It's 5.2 to 60 with the manual. It's 4 point something if you have this +4 in auto mode. But it just feels on its toes. And then on top of that, there's the efficiency as well. This being super light, and then with this modern BMW engine, it's incredible how little fuel you wouldn't normally mention it, but it's so good. We averaged, I think, 44.5 mpg on the way home on the motorway, and I worked out for the whole 700 miles we've done 40.7 mpg, which is in foreign land 6.9 litres per 100 kilometres. Really good for a 150 mile an hour car. So lots of surprises with this car, and my overriding impression is this is like a resto mod. It's sort of classic, but it's got all mod cons on it. I like the Bluetooth connectivity, I like the way the sound system's really good, and I love the performance and the efficiency, but you've got the classic looks as well. And I think the price point is really good. It's 70,000 or 71,000 something on the road here in the UK. There is a +6 model, and that's £20,000 more. You get the 6-cylinder engine. But I'm not feeling shortchanged at all with this +4, this 4-cylinder unit. And then this, as it stands, is £85,000, but it's got, the main one is the Sport Pack that gives you this uprated dampers, the rear anti-roll bar, sports lights, and the active exhaust, which I haven't used once. I quite like the sounds it is. I could do without the pops and bangs, I don't need them. So yeah, it's also really good value, I think, for what it offers. And you've got to think that you can get a bespoke car from Morgan for the price of a few options on a fantasy Ferrari. This is remarkable value, and I love the fact that it also has none of the nannying systems on it. This is goes through under single type approval here in the UK, so it doesn't need the speed alerts, and it doesn't need the automatic braking and all those sort of things that we now get on cars like this. So it's refreshing, to say the least, to get into this car. And the other thing to mention on that front, as things stand with the legislation, this car will no longer be able to be sold after the 31st of December 2029 here in the UK. You'll still be able to buy it in Europe, and you'll still be able to buy it in the US, but this is getting outlawed and will be banned from 2030. It's just mad. It's super efficient. It's a toy, lightweight, lasts forever, and yet we're banning it because of legislation with net zero. So you've probably got, there's a year's waiting list for this car. So you've probably only got a couple of years to decide whether you actually want one or not. I think the legislation will change, but that is how it stands at the moment. But yeah, I've really enjoyed my time with it. And what I'm going to do now is drive to Morgan HQ, the actual factory, because I'm meeting up with Matthew Hoy, who's MD of Morgan, and he's going to show me around their new car, the flagship. And I can't say much about it because it's all embargo until March. I haven't seen it, but I'm just fascinated to know what Morgan is up to and how they're going to progress this, because I've, as I say, it completely changed my mind on Morgan living with this +4, and see how he sees the future, what they're doing about the legislation at the moment. Are they going to get around it? I know they're talking to government about it because they're making big investment. But yeah, there you go. That is my review of this Morgan +4. One of the most surprising cars I have tested in a number of years. But I hope you enjoy this video, this trip to the Lake District, and that background on Bluebird as well. If you have, well, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.